What is going on, y'all? This is the Caveman. I'm here with Football with Oz Austin for episode 95 of Against the Blitz. And today we are going to be talking about the 2026 NFL Draft tight end class. This is another class that I think I speak for everybody when I say, wish there was a little bit more attractiveness, if you will. But this is where the real grinders come out and play is watching tight ends of this caliber is where the real nutcases are really gonna blossom, and we're gonna do our best to showcase how crazy we truly are.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that a lot of draft evaluators will all agree on is that tight ends are hard as shit to evaluate. I mean, we look at it time and time again. A lot of times, like the top 5 drafted tight ends in a draft all suck, and the guys drafted in like the 5th and 6th round are by far the best ones in that draft. Like
Mm-hmm.
even the NFL has a hard time drafting tight ends. So we did our very best looking at things that we found important in what makes a good tight end, and we compiled a list of 10 or so guys that should be some 10 of the most popular names in this draft. So we're gonna get into it.
Yes, we are. And if you guys want to talk tight ends, anything NFL draft related with us, Discord link in description is where to do that, because we are having very much active conversation as of late with everybody in there, because we have a small community that's very hype about this whole draft thing. So if you want to talk prospects, that's definitely the place to be. But anyway, let's start it off with the very first prospect. We all know who the top tight end in this class is, and I don't think that can be controversial. And that is Kenyon Sadiq. Now, my Kenyon Sadiq opinion going into it was that he was this completely dominant vertical threat to the point where, like, he was almost unguardable. And he's very good. Don't get me wrong. This isn't like diminishing what I think he is, but I was shocked as to how good of a blocker he was. Like I was expecting just a pure receiver, really. And I went and watched, and I think there's an argument that could be made outside of his like hands, I guess, if you can exclude this for the sake of my agenda. He's just as good of a blocker as I feel like he is a receiver. Like he has reps where he mauls and he is able to
Mhm.
really set edges and climb. Like this is a very good multi-dimensional tight end. And I feel like that because of, I guess, weird opinions on the internet that's been misconstrued. Like for whatever
Yeah.
reason, I was under the wrong impression of this going into this thing. And he reminded me of Jake Ferguson a lot, because I don't think this is going to be somebody that is able to win in the intermediate a lot, kind of like a Kelsey, if you will. Like I think that's a tougher thing to do than people have always given him credit for. But to me, he's very good up the seam. He can go up and get a football. He can take a hit when he's going to grab one. Like anything that's in his radius, he is going to have a chance to catch. And it's pretty crazy. Like he can scoop footballs off the ground as well. But I think the thing that really struck me was when he gets the ball in his hands, he's able to make a guy miss. He's able to bounce off tacklers in Jake Ferguson-esque ways. And like I said, the seam ball is, I think, where he really thrives. And I think that's seeing him with like Dak, I guess, for example, it would be a beautiful connection.
Yeah, and I think my favorite thing about him is that he's developed so much. This is his first year starting. We all know they had Terrence Ferguson over there last year. And I comped him to Vernon Davis because I think this is a guy that is going to exist going downfield and then taking screens to the house. I don't think that Vernon Davis was ever overly strong, like you said, in that kind of Kelsey role of like settling down in zones and boxing out defenders and mossing everybody. His whole thing was kind of threatening the seams deep and catching something short and taking off with it, turning into a running back. And I think Sadiq is very good at that. I mean, he's probably the second best hurdler in the class after Jeremiah Love. Like the guy can move. And I think that we're about to see a freaky combine out of this guy. I have a late first because of like, I don't know if I see an overly high volume player in the NFL. Like I really struggle to see a time where we're going to see a 1,100 yard, threatening 85 catches type of guy like we see from some of the more fluid route runners. But I do think he's a sufficient enough route runner I think his vertical threat ability is only getting better. After the catch, I think he'll immediately be one of the better tight ends in it at the NFL. And I think he's a good blocker. Like he's not Jackson Hawes, right? Like
Right.
he's not your extra lineman that you bring in and just maul everybody consistently. But for being, not a huge tight end, he's a very good blocker. You can get him out in space. You can throw him out there on screens. Like he's a beast.
He is. He really is. And I think you hit the nail on the head. If there's one thing that I might be concerned about is his ability to consistently separate, especially from NFL defensive backs. Like especially at his size, like he's definitely more of a bigger receiver than he is a tight end. And I'm not just saying that because of like the position he plays, but literally height, weight wise, he's a smaller tight end. So I think that is going to be hampering him in terms of winning physically when it becomes a time to separate. Like he's not a pure route runner. So that leaves him with the physicality part of getting open. And I don't think that's all that either, but he makes up for it because of how fearless he is at the catch point. He really just doesn't really care what he's got to do to put his body, underneath the ball or in the way of the football. And he more often than not is able to come down with it. Like there are catches he's made where he's like full out diving, like outstretched and landing without bracing himself and bouncing off the ground. And you see his back like probably broken, but he laid out. Like he just doesn't think about those kinds of things. So he'll be sufficient enough, to win a one-on-one at times. But I think, like you said, he's going to struggle to be somebody that can hit the ceiling of like a high-end fantasy tight end to the, the Kelsey Bowers extent, because he's just not that sort of winner as consistently as it requires.
Yeah, but I mean, I do think there always is a kind of role for these kind of guys for volume. Like, I mean, Tyler Warren has existed as a high volume guy, and he's not some like nasty separator at all. Like he just kind of is gritty, catches a lot of screens, catches a lot of flats, and I think college defenses did a very good job of tuning in on that. Like you never saw him alone by himself in the flat, and that was one thing that was kind of annoying. Was teams were so keyed in on stopping him that we didn't get to see what he was best at all the time. And I think Oregon did a bad job of really trying to manufacture him touches at times. But I do think when they did, in the games that they did really involve him downfield and underneath, he was their best football player.
He had a lot. His production was not as strong as I thought it would be. Once again, another thing that I thought, I thought this guy had upwards of like 900 yards receiving, and he just didn't. And if he's not doing that at this level, like I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think he could do it in the NFL. Like,
yeah, it's the same thing Oregon does to me with their receivers, their running backs, and even their tight ends. Is they rotate so much. Like their tight end 2 would have been my tight end 2 in this draft class, number 9, Jamari Johnson. He's nice. Their running backs, none of them ever produced because they rotate like 6 of them. None of their receivers probably had over like 700 yards. They spread the ball so evenly that like it's just not going to be a darling for like those. Like, look at my production model. Like this guy had X amount of yards per snap. Like he's not going to be a guy for that. But when you turn on the tape, this is pretty clearly to me the best tight end in this draft.
Agreed. Yeah, I think when you say late round 1, are you thinking like early 20s, or are you talking like, because I put top 35 specifically thinking I can see him going right outside the top 32, like around that Keon Coleman range.
Yeah. In this class specifically, I would even take him at like 15 to the Buccaneers. But if we're talking like a general draft, a general grade, typically a tight end that has, a lot of upside, but I don't see him ever being my number 1 option, I would take him towards the back half of the first round, probably like 20, 22 and later. But this draft specifically, just because there are so few stellar weapons, and he is by far the best tight end in the class. If somebody has a hole there and they want to fill it, I won't blame them for taking him higher than that.
Yeah, there's definitely a best player available movement going on with this class just because of the weirdness of the talent. It's kind of sparse, but the talent that is there is at the positions that people do not think are premium. And I think this is very much going to be a draft where like, wow, that felt like a reach, or wow, that was maybe higher than we would have thought. But I think we are seeing a revolution of BPA, even amongst front offices too. Like I think I think a lot of GMs, especially younger ones, are just like, fuck it. I just want the best player, the most talented player, and that's it.
Like if the Browns took him and just doubled up on tight end, do their thing, like, that would be so sick. I won't. If he's there, like what, 24? Do they have 24 or 26? Either way, like that would be sick. I wouldn't even blame him. Ravens, same thing. Replace Isaiah Likely with Sadiq. Damn.
That would be
low-key. I thought about that as a comp too.
I can see it. I think I'd be upset though if I was a Ravens fan and they did that. Not because because I don't like Sadiq, but it's like you didn't use Likely to begin with, so why the fuck would you?
That
even
is
bother?
True. Yeah. Never mind. Yeah, I want him to be utilized.
Yes, I agree. I don't want him dying somewhere like the fucking Ravens.
Agreed.
All right. Now we'll move on to the second tight end, Eli Stowers.
He is, like kind of the consensus tight end too, like for a lot of people in this class. I went into it with a lot of high hopes, and I came away a little disappointed based on the expectations, and not because he wasn't talented. Like I think he does do some things pretty well. He's a pretty good athlete for the tight end position. He runs routes pretty well. He has soft hands, and he can win after the catch. But something I've been doing more when trying to scout is I look at the entire field of tight ends today, the top 10, the top 15. How do they win? What do they look like? And a lot of them are either like uber athletic, they're really good at blocking, they dominate at the catch point, and almost all of them are super physical. And that was my biggest takeaway from Stowers. I was like, I don't think that he likes getting hit. I don't think that he likes to block. In fact, I think that he was kind of more of a net negative in the run game. They kind of just put him at big slot. Mm-hmm. And still, even then, like he wasn't even that good at blocking corners. And then when it got time to run routes, I think when he is left open, he moves well and he can run away in zone. But when big guys got hands on him in coverage, he lost the rep. Like he didn't like it. He kind of just took it, he accepted it, and then just got pushed over. So that was kind of my biggest reasoning why I wasn't a huge fan. I have a 4th or 5th pending a good combine. Because if he is more athletic than I'm thinking he is, and he runs, like a well above average 40, and he has good explosive testing, I could see him with a 4th round grade from me. If not, if he's kind of more of an average athlete and isn't physical, I think I'm going to put him as a 5th round, maybe even later than that, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Going into the entire scouting process for everybody I've watched, I've really tuned out all the noise I possibly could. And, you were the one that told me about 15 minutes ago that Eli Stowers is actually like a fan favorite. I was watching like, I don't know, why would that be the case? Because I think Eli Stowers, like you said, is that big slot archetype. And there are less big slot openings than there are tight end spots. And
yes.
when you're not when you're not athletic or smooth or laterally gifted, then you are going to struggle playing big slot. And the amount of times I felt like I watched Eli line up in a stack and then have to have like a pick, get him open on an out route. I'm like,
yes,
like,
yeah.
That's basically what Stowers was doing, or running a drag route. I'm like, this doesn't move me. He's not winning by himself. I wasn't like overly impressed by his blocking. Like it wasn't the worst thing ever that I've seen in this class, especially. But once again, like, why would a team employ Eli Stowers to play big slot and then be mediocre in line? And then why even bother? Like, I'm just having a hard time finding where he fits in this league.
That's my problem with, like, because everyone's go-to when a tight end can't block or isn't physical is just call him a big slot. But like, let's take a look at the tight ends in the league that like we can consider non-physical. Like Kyle Pitts, physical freak, 6'6", crazy wingspan, unbelievable athlete. Like even then, like he took a while to like really come into being an elite like football player. He started off hot and then got cold. Like you look at guys like Juwan Johnson, who has really filled out his frame, and he's like probably like up to 250 pounds now. Catch point demon, like these guys all do one thing like very specifically. Like even guys like Colston Loveland, he can block, and he's 6'6". Aronde Gadsden, huge catch radius, and I would say he's just as good of an athlete as Stowers.
I mean,
Like,
better athlete than Stowers.
I think he's a better athlete. Yeah. And then like you scroll down the list and you're just like, I'm not seeing a guy that is represented by Stowers at all. Like that's why I gave him a Stone Smart comp.
Yeah.
I took that from a guy on our Discord, Walter, but like, dude, like I just don't see him really working unless we invent a whole new offense for him.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. I went with Logan Thomas. I'm like, I know Stowers is a former quarterback.
Yeah.
I kind of see, the size is somewhat similar, and these were two guys. I mean, even Thomas, I think, was able to block a little bit better if I remember correctly.
Off the top of my head, that dude was like 6'6", like 250 plus. He was a big boy too. Like,
yeah, he definitely was bigger. I think the way that he moved as a receiver was what kind of like, all right, this is what I see. But like you said, it was tough to really come up with something that made a lot of sense. And I think I also leaned on Logan Thomas because when a team has a player like this, they feel they have a need to work him in. And then they'll just be like, all right, Eli, just, run 5 steps backwards and then throw it on a trick play. And then it's like, all right, we'll probably see like at least one trick play with Eli Stowers, regardless of where he goes in his rookie season. I will bet that right now. Over half a pass attempt for Eli Stowers in his rookie season.
I would take the over. Yeah. I would 100% take the over. And I don't know. Like, I understand he's developing. I understand that there like is an untapped ceiling here that people talk about, with him being a former quarterback and he's already this good of a receiver. Like, what does it look like in 5 years? I just struggle to see how he's going to find the field if he can't block. Like, we've heard countless tight ends in the league. They all talk about it. All those tight end guys, we talking about Kelsey and Kraft and like all of these guys talk about how they work so hard at blocking to find the football field. And he had a very specific role at Vanderbilt. Like you said, like they really focused on getting him open. They were setting pick routes for him, setting him on those little out routes that he found separation on. But like, unless a team in the NFL is willing to manufacture him touches, I don't really see a guy worthy of a top 100 pick to me.
Agreed. Yeah. I think the NFL is trending in a direction where you need to be one of two tight ends, Brock Bowers or like Colston Loveland, and just be a freak as far as a receiver goes, or you have to be like an AJ Barner. Like, I think that name will probably be brought up a few times in this episode, but I think he's kind of the cream of the crop right now in terms of what teams are looking for from a blocking perspective. And then even if, as a receiver, he's not, your top level player, but you're still getting something serviceable. He's athletic. He's reliable, like almost in a Katrin Allen kind of way. We don't need this flashy, shiny toy. We just need somebody that can serve the role of what we need on our team. And Eli Stowers might look tall, look cool, make some nice catches, but like I said, where do you put him? There's a lot less spots to put him. So,
yep.
It's just he's a weird one. Definitely a weird
He is a weird one. Like, I'm not shutting the door on him being potentially good. Like I said, like if he does have a good combine and he is more athletic than I'm thinking he is, then potentially like maybe there's a new big slot thing that's going on. Maybe Sean Payton will love him or something. I don't know. But as far as I know, I don't think most of the 32 teams have a spot like this.
No, they don't. All we heard about, all the fantasy nerds preseason last year were like, Evan Ingram, the Joker role. He's going to have so many touches with Sean Payton.
Joker.
Like, oh my God, that's all. That was their fucking keyword of the offseason. They're going to put him in the Joker role. Okay, he had like 40 catches. Like, I feel like he did nothing last year.
Yeah, and then like, yeah, Evan Ingram's the one name where I'm like, if this guy can become an Evan Ingram, then like maybe that would be cool. But like Evan Ingram was like a freaky. He ran a 4.42, dude.
This guy,
he was a freak athlete. Like, and even then, like Evan Ingram had a very short period of time in his career where he was like really worth like a second or third round pick.
Yeah, and then he just got really old. Like by the time he finally hit his stride, he just got old. I remember
like overnight.
Yes, I remember seeing Evan Ingram's age. My eyes popped out of my head. He's one of those guys, at least at the time I figured it out. And I saw his age. I'm like, what? He's that old? Because it just feels like he's been that, oh, look out for Evan Ingram next year type of player for like 5 years. Oh my God.
I mean, he is, that's whatever. But yeah, I like Stowers. I went into it wanting to like him, but like the projection, I can't get behind it, man.
I agree. I was not there with Stowers, and it's shocking that you say he's is it shocking?
Like,
is it really
shocking?
Shocking?
Some people have him tight end 1. I have seen him as tight end 1 multiple times. Like, it's not even like just like a one-time thing. It's a very common occurrance.
Look, I'm no expert at this by any means, but I feel like that's a red flag from an evaluations perspective. That is a red flag.
It's a stat guy thing.
Fitting. Move on to Max Klare. I watched Max Klare at Ohio State. I'm like, what does Max Klare even do? What am I doing watching Max Klare right now?
So boring.
Like, I was so bored. But then I was, I was like, there's got to be something else. I don't know what inclined me to dig deeper. I have been 2025 film guy throughout my evaluation process, but I remember you said in the running backs episode that context matters a lot, and I was trying to keep that into account with everybody going forward. And I came to find out that Max Klare was a Purdue transfer, and he actually was pretty damn good. And, I got to stop looking at numbers, but it really just gets stuck in my head. When I see a white guy literally like the same size as Dalton Kincaid wearing 86 that moves the same way, I can't not I don't even feel like I'm forcing the comp. Ultimately, like, no. I see a Dalton Kincaid-esque type of player, fluid mover, good footwork. He's got a good release, and this is the exact type of tight end that I would prefer over Eli Stowers. Like, this is the guy that I truly believe you get a linebacker/safety matchup advantage over, because he's able to actually separate. Like, he actually moves like a receiver. And I think my fear with Klare is I just don't think this guy's a good blocker. Like, he just was kind of bad at it from what I could tell. And also, just given how Dalton Kincaid's career is gone, I think I'm a little scarred. I get he's been hampered by injuries, but you expect a certain result when you employ a tight end like this. You're like, this is going to be a main focal point of our passing attack, because we know he is going to expose matchup advantages against some bigger, slower defenders. But if they're not, and you don't have any other efficient option, and you put your eggs in the Max Klare basket or the Dalton Kincaid basket, and it's not that, then you're fucked. And maybe that was just a Bills problem, but I feel like this type of player is someone a general manager or an organization goes into the season thinking is going to be one of those top tier pass catching deciders. I was going to say decision maker. I don't know why, but I'm just a little bit concerned, because you're not, like I said, you're not Brock Bowers, you're not Colson Loveland, but you're also not AJ Barner, you're not Tyler, you're not any of those guys either. Mm-hmm. So it's still, even if he's different from Stowers, it's still that same idea of, if you're not successful at this one thing, you're fried.
Right. And so you talk about those guys. Those guys are like that A tier, like that, even like that B+ tier. I have another tier, and that's the Dalton Schultz tier. And that's kind of where I view Max Klare, where it's like, I think that you see a guy that's going to be pretty consistent. He's very consistent in the way he moves. He's played the tight end position for a long time, in a very good conference against good comp. I think he is shockingly athletic, like especially at Purdue when they really got him like the ball in the flat, and you watch him after the catch. He is a glider, man. Like, he can run. But unfortunately at Ohio State, he played with this year's wide receiver 1 and next year's wide receiver 1. So the targets for him were very slim. And even then, Ohio State, they have their own blocking tight end, Will K something, like big freaky blocking dude. So Max Klare didn't really have much of a role. The one time we did really see him unleash was the Rutgers game, where both Tate and Jeremiah Smith, I think, missed the entire game. So we did get to see Max Klare kind of unleash as a receiving weapon. Now, off the top of my head, I think he had pretty good stats. I kind of want to check that, because the one time he was featured, he had 7 catches for 105 yards and a touchdown.
Wow.
In the one game where he was the feature guy. So like, that made me pretty happy. to see that because I think that he's a very intelligent route runner. I think that he's pretty athletic and he has pretty good hands. The blocking was underwhelming, but he has thickened out a tad. Like from Purdue to Ohio State, I think he's gained a couple pounds. If he can just keep kind of steadily gaining a couple pounds each year, I do think you can at least turn into like a sufficient blocker. Just right now, he's still in that like C- tier for me.
Yeah, I agree. He, like you said, very good after the catch too. That was a big part of his game. It just felt like at OSU, even regardless of the other targets around, it just felt like he wasn't even given the chance to go downfield. It's like he transferred here assuming that he was going to get similar opportunities with the ball, and he just ran like the most limited route tree ever. It's like, why did you even accept him into your program? Like, you just brought him in to be like a figurehead. And I get that there were, other guys around that were serving roles, and he kind of just was there, but it just was odd that there wasn't more of an attempt to get him factored in. And I felt like that once I realized what kind of player he was after watching him at Purdue. It was just very, very puzzling, I thought. But this is my tight end too. I will say that.
Really? I like that. I mean, he's a tight end compared to a lot of tight ends in this class. He's a tight end we've seen before. Yeah. We have seen this in the league, and we have seen that it does work. How well, like what's the ceiling out of it? That's a different question. But when we're talking about a guy that, like, if you want to draft a guy and you want to know that he will be a contributor on your team for a couple years, I do think Max Klare is that.
Agreed. Yeah, I think if Dalton Kincaid was taken more in the range that I think Max Klare will ultimately go, I probably wouldn't feel as iffy about it or about him. I think it just, he had that one game against USC. Wasn't there like a receiver guarding him or something? And he just went for like 200 yards. Wasn't there some drama like that?
I know that happened when JSN put up like 400 yards on Utah in like the Rose Bowl. But I don't know. I do know Kincaid he was a really good athlete coming out. A really good route runner too. That actually got to like run a route tree. Like Klare, we didn't really get to see run a route tree at Ohio State. Yeah. So I think a lot of people would be lower on him than I. I still have a third. I even bordered on a fourth in my head for a little while. But it's just like he does like the fundamental things of the position so well. And I do see a case where he can just be like a pretty consistent, like 650-yard staple to like a good offense. Like I could see him being a Dallas Cowboy and being a Dak Prescott favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. I think there's a higher chance that out of all of these guys, really outside of Sadiq, that he can carve himself out a role. Like I feel like I saw enough comparatively to the rest of the guys where I'm like, you know what, I feel the best about this one.
I agree with that.
How about who's next on our list here? Michael Trigg. Let's hear it.
Michael Trigg has a lot of hype too. He's probably like number 3 if we're talking hype trains. And you can see why a couple times a game, because I think pretty comfortably he has the freakiest catch radius in this class. Probably like the best, like spectacular catchability out here. Even in the picture listed, like he's just one-hand mossing. Like he's just so ridiculous at that. He's pretty fluid. I don't think he's like a freaky athlete burner, but he's pretty fluid after the catch and as a route runner. But I think my biggest problem with him too was he also was just entirely uninterested in contact. Like at all. As a blocker, they used him a lot, shockingly, as a blocker. And it didn't really go well. Then eventually down the stretch, they kind of just turned him into a wide receiver. I almost gave him like a Devin Funchess comp. Like tight end turned big receiver. Yeah. But I can see a role where he kind of is like a current day Mike Gesicki, where his entire role is to just be that like huge wingspan slot, catch everything thrown to you. And don't really do anything else. Never block. Don't really worry about winning after the catch. And there is a role for that. So I gave him a 4th round pick because at minimum, there is a thing that he does really, really well. And that is catch and pluck balls away from his frame. I feel really good about him doing that. Everything else I am worried about. On top of him being an older prospect, and I have heard ravings of character concerns. I can't confirm them. But I have heard from some people that it's just like, I mean, I don't think we're talking like, domestic abuse type shit. I've just heard like generally people don't like having him around. So, and those are rumblings. I have no idea even if they're true.
Yeah.
But those rumblings have turned out to be true in previous drafts for a lot of guys. So I think it's at least worth paying attention to.
It absolutely is, given the recent events of some particular players in the NFL. I like the Gesicki comp. I think now that I think about it, I like your comp more than mine. I went with Jordan Reed. I think Jordan Reed was a much better route runner than Michael Trigg was, but I was having a hard time figuring out who to go with for Trigg, because he is a unique Slenderman build. He just, and like you said, does not like contact. There was a rep where he caught a screen against Arizona State, I think, and he like lowered his head to get, it was on the 2-yard line, and he like lowered his head to get to the goal line, and some small DB came up and popped the fuck out of him. Like, the only reason why he got in the end zone is because he was so close. Like, if they were half a yard further out, he would have gotten blown back and completely embarrassed. The only reason that it wasn't embarrassing is because he ended up getting in the end zone. But everyone's like looking around like, touchdown. It's like, dude, you're supposed to be a tight end. You should have been able to lower your head and waltz in there. And I think that play really encompassed Michael Trigg as a player. And, something that we're going to keep preaching is, if you're not going to be physical, then you're going to have a hard time being on the field as a tight end in the league. And I also thought, like, maybe I was a little bit more harsh than some people are. Like, I didn't think I thought the hands were a lot flashier than they were reliable. Like, there were balls that I'm like, what the fuck was he even trying to do? Like, he like gave Davis his hands sometimes when he goes to catch it. And I think he's got a unique catching style, but it's not one where, if I'm a quarterback, like, I'll feel cool hurling him up a ball down the sideline. But if I need him to catch something in traffic over the middle, like a tight end does, I'm not trusting that. I'm not trusting that for shit. Like, I'll do it because I have to, but I just don't think there's consistency there. And I much more value that from this position than I do, your jump ball guy or your guy reaching out for an out route and, grabbing a one-handed 8-yard out route halfway through the second quarter. Like, I just don't find that to be as valuable as what you're going to get from a lot of these over the middle type of players. So, and I also thought he didn't really, like, he route ran a little, but it was just kind of like, I'm taller, lengthy, and fast, so I'm just going to try and sprint by you. That was a lot of that too. Yeah.
And like I was saying, like, I think he's fluid. Like, he moves like a basketball player. Like, he's pretty smooth. I did make a note. He looks like he runs like he's got keys in his pocket, and it's really hard to like explain why. But if you've ever played with somebody that like has keys in their pocket, like the kind of like run they do, you'll understand. But like, like I actually completely agree with the note you said, where I think he has some of the craziest catches, like down the sideline, one-handed snags, keeping it both feet in. But his actual hands are pretty inconsistent. Like, I think that like hand reliability, like concentration drops, are like some of the worst in the class, which was odd from a guy whose like entire thing is being able to pluck the ball away from his frame and like make some crazy catches. But like over the middle, I don't really see him existing there at all. And on screens, I don't think that we can really see him existing all that much. No. As a blocker, we don't see him existing all that much. I think his biggest usage is just going to have to be in contested catch scenarios against mismatches. Like, somehow put him on Marcus Jones and then let him pluck the ball over his head. And that's like really going to be like his avenue to find the football field. And he is a guy where at least I can see an avenue where he can find the football field. So like, I'll boost his grade a little higher than I had Stowers, but man, I have them pretty similarly graded. For those reasons, where it's going to take a very specific role to get him out there.
It is, yeah. I mean, Gesicki is like borderline useless anywhere but Cincinnati. And
yes, like that's kind of why I did that. It's like it took the most accurate quarterback in the league with a team that like only has 2 reasonable receivers. Like if we put Gesicki in Pittsburgh right now, he has 100 yards on the year.
He has 100 snaps.
Yes, like
he might not even wear a helmet half the
no,
year.
he's holding a clipboard. Like and so with some of these guys, like I don't even see like special teams. Like that's another thing. Like some tight ends, you look at him and you're like, this dude's rocked up. He's physical. Like you can see a special teams like something. With Trigg, I also don't see the physicality required for a special teams ace. Like I really do just see a goal line fade guy that you try and put in motion and man him up with a like Mike Hilton.
Yep. Yeah. And even like going back to Gesicki, I think he's like as good as you can get in terms of this very niche tight end. And even that hasn't been enough to find anything consistent. So you get someone that's half as good and not reliable. Like I think Gesicki is more than reliable. Like I still would trust
him.
He's reliable.
He's very reliable.
Yes. Yeah. Like it just is odd that he, like you said, is so good at the spectacular stuff. But then when it comes to the routine, you know, let me just be there for my quarterback type of play. It just isn't always there. I mean, I'm starting to hate my Jordan Reed comp more and more now that I talk about it.
Well, I'll have one come up later. But yeah, I mean, even Gesicki was like 6'6" with like an otherworldly combine. Like his combine was incredible. He was an outstanding athlete.
Well, let's move on to our next player here, and that's going to be Justin Joly?
Joly, I believe it is. Yeah.
Okay. This is mine. Justin Joly. I liked Justin Joly a lot. I was a big Justin Joly fan. This was one of the few tight ends that I watched. I'm like, yeah, like I kind of like got really excited watching Justin Joly for a lot of different reasons. Like this guy can maul in the run game, like sealing off edges. He's able to create holes. I originally wrote down before I watched the rest of the class, I thought he at the time was the best blocker I had watched, and that eventually changed, but I was that impressed. And he also fits that safety blanket archetype. Like we're not looking for anything crazy here, but Justin Joly is always available. And one of my favorite things, I said it about Torrey Horton last year, that I feel like a lot of players just simply don't have, is this quarterback friendly feel. Like he knows how to work his way back to the football. He knows when to be available and when to open up at the right time. Like that is a feel that's not something you can teach, and it's not something a lot of players have. And to have it in a tight end like this is very rare. And in fact, I would say even more important to have in a tight end versus a running back or a receiver. It just kind of sucked because I thought he was a lot more nimble than his opportunities presented. Like after the catch, there were some reps where I'm like, wow, he's kind of like not stiff. Like he's moving pretty well, but he just had a pretty limited route tree, I felt like, that didn't give him too many opportunities. I think the catch radius is probably more limited than not. And that's kind of also part of my problem. But I saw Austin Hooper here. Like this is the exact kind of tight end that you draft now and you have in the league floating around team to team for the next 12 years, because you just know that he is so well-rounded in every facet of the game that he's going to go into free agency and teams are like, yeah, that we need something like that. I really like Justin Joly.
Yeah, and then we talked in a previous podcast about how I said Malachi Lawrence checked the most boxes. I think Justin Joly checks the most boxes of any tight end, almost including Sadiq, because I think when we saw Justin Joly really run a route, he really ran a route. Like he has nuance. He has he can run an out route. He can run like an in route. He can run a drag. You can throw him a screen. And some of his play this year was slightly hampered by a leg injury he had that he kind of fought through down the stretch.
I watched that clip. I'm like, what even happened?
Did you watch him Greg Jennings his way into
the end zone? Yes. I'm like, what? How did he even get hurt? I didn't understand.
It was a hamstring.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a hamstring. But he missed a game or two, and then like he willed his way back, but like still kind of wasn't fully himself. But like the route running is nice. The hands are incredible. Like I don't think that he has like a huge wingspan, so naturally his catch radius isn't like monstrous. But I feel like almost every single time he was presented with a ball that was in his frame, he caught it, and he can pluck it too. After the catch, I think that he is sufficient, not elite, but sufficient. Route running was above average, especially compared to everyone I saw in this class. IQ was definitely there, like you said. Just like that natural feel. I feel like every time that CJ Bailey scrambled, Joly scrambled with him. And he found a way. He would work his way upfield or downfield depending on like what the play needed. And he made a couple like awesome sideline grabs doing that. So big fan. He is in contention to be my tight end too. He's fighting with one other guy that I also really like. But yeah, Joly's awesome, man. Like he's who I think is my Jordan Reed because
oh shit, sorry,
he kind of has like a very like normal build. He's gained a lot of muscle, especially in his lower half, which I think shows up in the blocking for sure. Outstanding effort when it comes to being a blocker too. So this guy, I mean, even then, like even if he can't find the field, this guy can play on special teams, like pretty obviously. So like there is very clearly an avenue for Justin Joly to find the football field pretty fast. Like I was thinking Gerald Everett, I was thinking all these kind of guys that had pretty good careers.
Yeah. Like Michael Trigg probably laughs at the idea of playing special teams. Like he's probably like, fuck that, dude. Like I'm too good to be doing that. Like maybe I'm labeling him wrong for some reason. I just like a player that makes catches like that to scoff at the idea of playing special teams. So like Joly's the opposite. Like this is your captain. This is your guy that was a locker room presence. The guy that has a rapport with every single person that's sitting near him. And maybe I'm just making blind assumptions based on how he plays, but I feel like that's probably accurate. Just simply based on how he plays.
And I think you can low-key see it with how they're recruited too. Like Michael Trigg was a high-end 4-star recruit to I think USC or Ole Miss, one of those. He played at both. Justin Joly was a 2-star recruit, went to UConn, fought his way up, transfers to NC State, and balls out. Like sometimes when you see guys that are either walk-ons or low-end recruits and they have to fight and work their way up the depth charts, you see them willing to do things that others just will not do. And I think Joly is the most committed to catching the football and blocking out of really anybody in this class. So I'm a huge fan.
Me too. Yeah, this is one of my favorite tight ends in the class comfortably, and one of the few that, I mean, I think I have positive things to say about most people, but I feel like I tend to say more negative than positive, unfortunately. At least I feel like I've been like that with prospects as of late, but Joly's one of the few where I'm like, very, it's very surprised. It's nice. It feels like I feel good. I feel like a good person.
Yes, he's a good football player. Like he's just a naturally good football player, and like it does feel nice to like a guy that not everyone has top 3 in their tight end rankings. I see him at like 6, barely even top 10 for some people.
That's insane. This is my tight end 3, so
he's up there.
That's crazy. Who do we got next here?
Be old Oscar Delp. He's an interesting one because he was supposed to be the Brock Bowers replacement. He was a high-end recruit. He's pretty damn big. He's very athletic. And he just never really ended up doing it, which was kind of a letdown for people. And I looked at his production and I was like, wow, this guy kind of sucks. Like I don't see it. And then I went back and I watched his tape, and I actually really enjoyed it because I think he's big, he's athletic, he's a very willing blocker, and I think he's very good at it. I really like some of the blocking tape that I saw. Obviously, as a receiver, when you see a guy that only had like 260 yards in his final year, like there is work to be done. But I think when I watched it, I accredited a lot of it to the Georgia offense itself, where it just screens, RPOs, quarterback runs. It was so bullshit to watch. Really, I hate. It was so bad. But I came away actually liking him more of a projection because I really like the traits. He's really one of the only guys here where I really talk about the traits because I think he's strong. I think he's pretty fast. And he's a good blocker. So like at minimum, he's one of those guys where I am chasing AJ Barner. I am chasing a guy that can find the field early with blocking, but also like have that ability to maybe like sneak out and make a play after the catch or something. Like I think he'll be a solid tight end that I would take day 2.
I was close to that. Like I was going back and forth in my head about it, and I did like Delp as well. It's very interesting that he was supposed to be the Brock Bowers replacement because I really saw no type of route participation at all. Like it was just he was literally the closest thing to an offensive lineman utilization wise out of everybody in this class. Like the guy legitimately just played left to right tackle the whole game. And he was good at it. Like he's legitimately like pass setting. Like he's taking like 45-degree sets and like punching blockers and like holding guys off. It's like, wow. Like I'm seeing like violent hand. I actually wrote down, what did I write? I said super active hands. He's like literally like punching like to get his hands on guys early. It's like, wow, this is, and it's even crazier to read that in hindsight, knowing what he was supposed to be. So, I mean, I'll happily ride him up my board then if there's that thought of him being that, because I mean, he's got some good downhill speed. Like he is one of those sneaky athletic guys. He's got sneaky ball skills. Like I wrote those things down, and if there's more to it, I'm really, really intrigued. Like I ultimately went with a player that I feel like is better than people know. Like you might even agree. I don't know. You either hate him or love him. I think Tanner Hudson has had flashes of being like a very good tight end, and they keep just kind of employing other guys in front of him to. I don't know if it's because he's not good.
He's just limited.
And it's I don't know. Yeah. Like I feel like I've seen blocking reps from Tanner Hudson where I'm like, wow, that was like extremely good, especially for a UDFA of all players. But I think I am a little bit worried for the sheer fact that he was almost so dominant as a blocker. And if we're going to the NFL projecting that to be where he thrives, there's going to be fall off in that way, just because I think he's a little bit smaller. You're just naturally not going to be a legitimate tackle as a tight end, you know, when you're playing up against better competition. So I kind of tempered my expectations, went mid to A3, but like you said, I can very happily see a higher ceiling if he's supposed to be more than this.
He was the number one tight end recruit in his class in high school. Like he was like a 4-star, almost 5-star recruit. But just kind of just got buried. Obviously he's not the route runner or athlete that Brock Bowers was. And I mean, really everybody in the Georgia offense struggled like production wise. Like the tape was bad. Like you've probably heard of Zachariah Branch. He's a receiver that's getting a lot of hype this year. His 51% of his targets were screens. Like,
wow,
51. That's insane. Like that's worse than Shakir. And like that's just the kind of offense they were running there. And like, I think it hurt Delp as a receiver. Like I think he really struggled to ever develop in that way. But as a blocker, I think it's pretty easy to project him as very easy to put on a football field. Like if he goes to a team to go be their tight end too, it's pretty easy to see how he'll be on the field on run plays, and then they can sneak him out, let him make plays that way, and then expand his role from there. But another guy where I find it very easy to see a projection for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was kind of we have been discussing how difficult it is for some of these players to find a path. And I think Oscar Delp definitely, he could be a guy that if he goes mid-day 3, I wouldn't be shocked. If he went, you know, early second round, I wouldn't be shocked either. Like I think it really is about the taste of you know, your flavor. And I think a lot of coaches could see the path with this guy.
Yeah. I think he tests well too on the combine, which is cool.
Yeah, he definitely should. He definitely should. Nice. I think he's got some linear speed too when he gets going. Who's next on this board? Oh, Dallen Bentley. Dallen Bentley was a guy that I admittedly didn't see enough of. And in my quick scrounging of research, I came up with a player. I have another name in mind that I might change with this, but I wrote down Chikakonkwo in the sense that he is somebody that he's good after the catch. This is a guy that like randomly he'll take like a short catch and then like gain a huge chunk of yardage out of it. And that's something that Okonkwo has kind of like made his calling card, is like he just has like 1 or 2 random big plays every year where it's like, oh, there's Chigakonkwo again. And I feel like this is the type of player that Bentley could be. But I also think like a Greg Dulcich could fit this mold. But honestly, I think you watched more of him than I did. So that's about the extent of where my research went. Either a Okonkwo or Dulcich, but he's a better blocker than both of them as far as I know.
He's a very solid blocker. I felt like a lot of his blocks, nothing dominant. Like I don't think that we were seeing Oscar Delp type, like really like extension of your offensive line type blocks. But it was good enough. Like it was effort, and he is pretty strong. He's got a really strong base. I gave him a Chris Cooley-ish. Like, I don't think he's quite the athlete that Chris Cooley was, but he has like that similar build where like that might be a fullback out there running routes. But yeah, like you said, after the catch is his main thing. He's not a burner. Natural athleticism is not like his calling card, but he has really good contact balance and a pretty underrated wiggle. Like he can make the first guy miss or run through him pretty well. As a route runner, again, he's not a burner, he's not twitchy, but he has a really good feel for space. So like he's another one of those like quarterback's best friend type guys that he'll run into his zone, it's kind of covered, and he'll just kind of shuffle until he finds himself in the soft spot and catch the ball. Hands are good, hands are reliable. He's kind of the exact opposite of Trigg. Like if you ask him to go catch a fade, he'll laugh at you. Like never throw him a fade in the end zone. Like they won't happen. But if you throw a ball and you put it on the numbers, you put it on him with a defender draped over him, he will catch it. It's just he's kind of short arm, kind of stubby, kind of almost fullbacky looking. But I really liked it. Like again, another guy I think it's pretty easy to see how he'll find the field. He wins after the catch. He can block just fine. He's a pretty solid high IQ route runner. I like what I saw. Like very limited ceiling, very, very limited ceiling. But if he can be like a 75% of Chris Cooley, I like that.
I think limited ceiling. I think a high floor is a high ceiling in itself. If you have a high floor, that could be in some way a high ceiling.
Yeah,
and, we've kind of been saying it all episode, but you don't need much from this position to have a good offense, really.
No, you don't.
Dallen Bentley to Josh. How do you say his last name?
Josh Cuevas.
Okay, I was right.
Cuevas. Yeah. And I have a fifth rounder on Josh Cuevas, but it's not derogatory though. Like I actually like Josh Cuevas. It's just when you watch him, I think for every single trait, like I have a list of traits and I put I write a word down. I said solid for like literally all of them. Like I don't think he's a bad athlete. I don't think he's a bad route runner. I don't think he has bad hands. I don't think he's a bad blocker. I think he's just okay. Like literally all of them. Like he's fairly strong, but most of his blocks kind of end up in like a tie. Like he doesn't give a lot of drive. He doesn't get pushed back. Like it's just they kind of just stand there. Pretty good route runner. Like I think he did really well at the Senior Bowl, which kind of boosted his stock, maybe up to a fourth rounder for me. But he's kind of just He's kind of just fine. Like that's why I gave him Jeff Swaim as my comp, because similar builds to, he's kind of like that thicker NFL build tight end. I think he's just going to be a solid tight end 2, tight end 3 for his entire career, which is awesome because he'll make plenty of money and have a long career. It's just like in terms of upside, like I don't see any.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it was hilarious because when we were putting this slide together, I quickly realized that we both somehow comped Josh Cuevas to Jeff Swaim. I don't know what the percentages of that are, but that is crazy. Like Jeff Swaim, I think, has been out of the league for a couple of years now too. So it's not even like we just recently saw him in like the wild card and he made a couple of catches. Like we haven't seen Jeff Swaim play football in a couple of years. So that was crazy. But it's true. Like Jeff Swaim, just like Josh Cuevas, like Oz said, just he's like the Aldi's version of Joly in a way where he checks every box, but it doesn't mean it's like, oh, like in a great way. Like Joly checks every box in like a great, well-rounded way. Cuevas checks every box. You're like, all right, yeah. I mean, you go over, you open your cupboard and it's like, would you rather have Fruit Loops or Fruity Circles? It's like you're probably gonna pick up the Fruit Loops over the Fruity Circles. but it doesn't mean the fruity circles aren't like you run out of Fruit Loops. You pick up the fruity circles. You're like, oh, fuck, like whatever. It's fine for now. And that's kind of how I feel about Josh Cuevas.
Understandable. I guess that's kind of how I feel. Like that's kind of how I got to Jeff Swaim. I was like, who was the most average tight end 2, like tight end 3 I could think of? Like, okay receiver, okay blocker. Like who is that? Jeff Swaim is the epitome of an average backup tight end, and it's not derogatory. Like he'll make plenty of money. He'll have a long career. He might play on special teams. Like cool guy. Like every tight end needs one. Or every tight end room needs one, but there's no upside in my opinion.
No, there's not at all. And I think I regret saying high floor means high. I mean, there's not a high floor here. There's like if this was like a 10-story building, this is like the highest you're getting with a Josh Cuevas key card is like floor like 5. You're not getting higher than that.
No, it doesn't let you.
Who is next in here? Oh,
Tanner Koziol.
Yeah, Tanner Koziol. I hated this. This was my least. Tanner Koziol was by far my least favorite watch. This watch pissed me off. My notes for Tanner Koziol were this: basketball player playing football. That's it. Like he doesn't route run. He's not twitchy. He's not even really that fast. Wouldn't even say he's got that great of hands. He's literally just tall. He's just tall. They just pulled him off the basketball team and said, "Hey, you want to play tight end?" And it's like, "Yeah, I guess." And he just went to the red zone. Maybe like ran a very average double move occasionally, or ran a wheel route on a linebacker and mossed somebody. Like that's all he did. He didn't even run routes. Like I'm not kidding when I tell you he did not run routes. He would run like a drag. Like he'd go up one step and then run a drag, or he would run like a motion wheel up the sideline to get a matchup and a fade ball. It's like, what am I? This is not a football player. And that's why I comped him to Laurie Markkinen. This is not a football player. You have a better chance of going to the NBA than you do playing in the NFL, Tanner Koziol. And it doesn't mean you're not a good athlete. You're a great athlete to be able to pull off what you did, 800 yards or whatever, damn near the highest level of football. But my God, like this is like, there's no chance this works out. Like this is a UDFA in every single way. That was good.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I think that's why I gave him Josh Wiley, old tight end. He used to play at University of Cincinnati.
You're too nice.
I watched a lot of his. I mean, 5th round's not incredible. And I always will kind of give you a draftable grade if I see one thing that you can do well. And I think he plays above the rim very well. Like if you throw him up a ball, he can go up and get it. Like just like you said, just like a basketball player. Like he gets the ball like it's a rebound. But also, like you said, I don't really see anything else translating. Like even in the photo, you can clearly see like a lack of muscle mass. A lot, and that goes along with lack of physicality. Nothing really after the catch. Not much of a route runner. He's just kind of a ball winner. And even then, like I saw a couple concentration drops on tape that I was kind of concerned about. But like I do think that there could be a couple touchdowns in his career of again match up on a short guy, throw up the ball, get a rebound. But like that's like what Donald Parham does. Like Donald Parham is like the godfather for these guys. Even if you go to like a Colby Parkinson, is probably the godfather of those guys. He's thick, and he's like he can block a little bit nowadays. So Tanner Koziol, like, unless he gains like a lot of mass, I don't really particularly see him sticking around in the NFL for too long. But if there is a team out there that's just like out there hunting for, a ball winner in the end zone, I guess that's your guy. Realistically looking at it, I'd play him a 6th round instead of 5th, but either way, definitely a day 3 guy for me. And a guy that has a lot of hype. You might be shocked to find out.
Fuck me,
it's not crazy hype. It's not like round 2 hype, but there are a lot of people that really like him as like an early day 3 guy.
His legs are the size of my legs. We have the same leg width. he's the definition of like, making it look like I'm doing work. Like he'll pull on a block and he'll run through the gap, not touch anybody, and let the defenders come in and make a tackle. It's like the amount they had him run blocking was actually astounding. Why was he run blocking so much? He just never he just consistently missed players. He was getting thrown around. And I think the biggest issue for a player like this is that when you're tall and skinny, the best place for defenders to tackle you is at your knees, is at your feet.
Yes.
Like he's gonna be like on one leg in 2 years after like Brian Branch comes flying in and destroys his shin or bends his knee backward. Like he is. I'm not wishing injury or predicting injury, of course, but when you're this skinny and you're tall, you are asking for lower body injuries out the ass. And it's funny, you mentioned Donald Parham. I don't think he suffered a leg injury, but he's a tall guy. Tacklers feel like they have to, go for the vulnerable areas. Didn't he get like killed with a headshot in the back of the end zone?
It was like concussed to like a seizure. Like it was really, really bad. But yeah, big guys, big, tall, skinny guys get hit really hard. Like that's not even like speculating. That's just how it is. So, yeah, trying to find a way to mitigate that's going to be a pretty big piece of his career of just managing injury. Because even for our next guy, we'll talk about a lot of tall guys have injuries. Like it's a very common thing.
It's almost like he's better off like going and being an accountant now and just like be healthy, bro. Like you've made it far enough. Just be healthy. Like you are risking a lot for like a couple game checks, my guy. Just please, your legs are more valuable. Oh man, I'm an asshole. Eli Raridon. What were your thoughts on Eli? Is that how you say it? Raridon?
Raridon, yeah.
Raridon?
Yeah. He's another guy that people are starting to really like. I don't know if you've been on like draft Twitter at all, but like people have been like going back and like realizing now they like Drew Aller. People have been doing that with Eli Raridon. They're like going back like this week specifically and being like, oh, this guy's good. So I went back and I looked myself. When you just look at like a Google images of like tight ends, this guy looks like one. And he moves pretty well. Like he's a good athlete. He's 6'7", 252. I think he's a better blocker for sure than a guy like Koziol. Like he does put in the effort. He does have definitely like sufficient play strength for somebody that's pretty lean. And you can see like he has more muscle mass than a guy like that too. He runs routes okay. I think my biggest concern for him, aside from the 2 ACL tears in the same knee, my other biggest concern is that he's very short arms. So even though he's very tall, he still has a pretty hard time winning at the catch point because he doesn't have like a radius really. Like he still kind of catches like any other 6'3" tight end. So it's just kind of out there being tall for no reason.
There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, like that reminded me a lot of Zach Kuntz. Do you remember Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion like 3 years ago?
That was the RAS demon, right?
Yes, and like if Raridon's like he looks healthy now, like he's moving around now, but I suspect like we're gonna see a pretty good RAS score out of this guy. But he kind of just reminded me of Zach Kuntz a little too much.
Yeah, I mean when you're coming off 2 major knee injuries like that, and prior to them, you weren't even like lighting the world on fire. You're asking for a lot to be drafted high, and I think especially with the guy that looks the part, like Zach Kuntz, even if I think maybe I'm speculating too much, but I think people are kind of catching on to that, like the whole RAS score. Like I think that was around his time period. That was like a big thing.
It was yeah.
Go ahead.
It was low key Luke Musgrave.
Oh, that was my boy Luke.
He was that's what I mean. Like he was tall, but like he didn't play tall in the NFL.
No,
he's just tall. Like then he's like a good athlete. He's a fine blocker, but like, what are you tall for? You're just 6'3", but you're like you have more bones than me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't even really like. I really, when I watched him, I'm like, where's like the 2025 stats? And then I, went back and looked like, oh, he didn't play because he was literally dead. So I don't know. I didn't have really a comp for Eli Raridon. What do you even get from Eli Raridon? 2 knee injuries. Like, how do you project a guy that plays smaller, that isn't that great of a blocker, and that was just injured for 2 years? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's one of those, like, he understands the position well. Like, he's a tight end by heart. Like, I don't think he's a bad football player by any means, but just the cards are stacked against him, and people of his stature and people of his background just don't do well historically, sadly. So I won't be shocked if we ever find out someday that Eli Raridon becomes a pretty solid football player. But if I'm a team, he's just not the guy that I'm going to bet on, sadly.
Yes, I would wholeheartedly agree. That will bring us to our final guy that we'll mention, Sam Roush. Roush.
Sam Roush from Stanford. Yeah, he's another guy where, like, he has his fans, he has his haters. I think I'm right in the middle. I would take him kind of really anywhere on day 3. Like, however much your team needs a well-rounded tight end 2, I think that's going to be Sam Roush. And he's another guy that I think just kind of checks all those boxes pretty well. He's big. He's sufficiently mobile after the catch. I think he's a sufficient route runner against zone. I think he's actually a genuinely pretty good blocker. I really liked his tape. It was really hard to see him as a receiver because the Stanford passing offense is like abysmal. He was one of their leading receivers, despite I think their leading passer on the year had like 1,800 yards.
Oh my god!
I could totally be wrong. I actually want to. They have. It was like Ben Gulbranson. They don't have anything going on over there. Yeah, he had 1,800 yards. Their leading passer, 9 touchdowns to 10 picks, was their quarterback. And Sam Roush still escaped with almost 550 yards. So, like, he was sufficiently productive for being in like the worst passing offense in the country. I had a couple issues with a couple focus drops. I don't think that he got well. He got open again. He did not get open against man. But again, like, he was not being like we're not getting opportunities here. And when teams are playing against like god awful passing offenses, those safeties can come up. There's nothing threatening downfield. The safeties can just come up and just absolutely maul him at the line and not let him get free. So I think in the NFL, I think the life actually will be easier for him compared to how it was at Stanford, shockingly. And I do think that you have a good enough profile of size, movement, and blocking to exist in the NFL and be a solid day 3 option that nobody regrets drafting.
Yeah, the more you talk about him, the more it sounds like he is somebody that probably, you see the starting tight end go down and you're like, oh yeah, we have Sam Roush. It'll be all right. Like, he'll be sufficient for that week.
For a game. Yeah, for a game. Like,
right. And that's like, the more you talked about it, the more that a guy like Brock Wright comes to mind. Like, Laporta's not around. Even if it's not Brock Wright, it's like Shane Zylstra. I don't know what his measurables are off the top of my head. But
he's a little thinner, but yeah.
These guys, like, they fill in when like a Laporta goes down, and they might not all – there might not be one clear guy that steps up next, but there's like this bucket of backups that comes in and are producing that feel like at a good enough rate where it's replaceable. And I think Sam Roush will probably be one of those guys that is in that bucket of like, okay, well, if you need a flyer for the week and Sam Laporta's out, Sam Roush might catch like 4 balls for 35 yards and a touchdown. Like, you might get that sort of production from a guy like this.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I know I have like day 3 grades on like 6 of these guys, but he was the one that I kind of enjoyed the most. I think also because when I looked at his ESPN photo, like his like actual team photo, I started dying laughing.
Wait, what is it?
You need to look at it really quick. He has like the stupidest glasses that he has like taped in the middle to keep them together.
Like a nerd? Like
yes, like straight up like nerd glasses. He has taped glasses.
No way.
But like, I
fuck, what the hell?
See what I'm saying? I think he's done it every year. Like you can go back in time and look at it. He's done it multiple times.
That is hilarious. It's literally taped. Like that has to be like a running joke.
I think it is.
That is.
But
awesome.
like, yeah, he's a cool player overall. Nothing stands out about him. But like you said, a Brock Wright type guy. Those guys make money. Those guys live in nicer houses than I'll ever live in. Like that's a good career, as opposed to one of those like high potential guys that might also, fail out of the league in a year for not doing any of the little things correctly. So sometimes I might even prefer to bet on one of these guys.
Agreed. Yeah, I did. I watched a little bit of Sam Roush, and I felt the same way in the sense like this is a tight end that is so much more obviously an NFL tight end than a lot of the other guys that I watched earlier that I put a lot more time into. And it kind of frustrates me that like some of these later guys are the guys that I didn't invest as much time into. And I felt like I missed out almost where like I watched I watched 3 fucking games of Eli Stowers doing fuck all.
Dude, I watched 6 of them.
Oh my God.
I wanted to find what the hype was about. Like people talk of Eli Stowers like he is like the next fantasy guy. Like I unfortunately I think Harold Fannin did this because they saw an overly productive like kind of flex tight end that like his whole thing was like, oh, he's not a very good blocker, but like we'll find a role for him. But Harold Fannin's college tape was awesome, dude.
Wasn't he? Isn't Harold Fannin like really fluid?
He's awkward, but like he makes people miss after the catch all the time, and his hands are like mitts, like they're big hands. And he was plucking balls away from his frame all over his tape at college. He was basically a running back. Like he was making people miss all the time. He was not a good blocker, but like he tried. He was usable in line to a degree, and some of his routes were like pretty awesome. Like I don't know, like I failed to see that, but like I tried so hard. Like this was not meant to be a hate watch. I wanted to have multiple day 2 grades on tight ends, but I couldn't get there.
No, I couldn't either. And I think the part that's so interesting, the more I think about this, is why would an NFL team, seeing what has been successful for teams at the tight end position, even spend high-end capital on this position anymore at all? Like you're shooting for the stars to try and get the next Kelsey or the next Gronk. And like obviously, even Bowers to an extent, or Loveland if or Warren, like these guys are very, very, very good players. But to some extent, it's like if you're debating between one of those guys and like, I don't know, another like a premium edge rusher or a corner or something, and that like day 3, there's this like literal bucket of just gritty, thick, willing, and strong tight ends that can also just do enough. Like what would stop somebody from, kind of veering away? Like, I think that's where, like, obviously then you get into the BPA type conversations and stuff, but I don't know. I think the more I think about it, the more the league with the 13 personnel shift that we've seen lately and, the types of tight ends that have been successful, like, I don't know. We might be pushing. I might start the tight end is the most replaceable position agenda over the running back.
Low key can be, like, unless you have a Trey McBride or a Kittle or a Bowers, and even those guys, like coming out of college, you could pretty clearly see they were outstanding at multiple things, like outstanding after the catch, awesome athletes, very physical, angry, mean dudes. They all had a lot of things in common. A lot of these other flex big slot guys just do not. So I have really started to change the way that I scout the tight end position, and I'm more just trying to find guys that I am confident will be like solid guys that I'm confident will at least even get playing time.
Yes. Yeah. I think a lot of people are, especially with the draft space, the same goes for the fantasy space too. It's like they're trying to find the star. So if they see someone that's got the shiny tools, they want to feel like they're one of the first to say, look, I saw the next Puka Nacua coming and I can say that. And then they'll just throw a bunch of those darts at the wall over and over and over again. But instead, like, in a true evaluation sense, like I have come to like these Sam Roush type of players more, to the point where I'm literally like considering ranking him over, and Eli Stowers. Like, why would I not? Why would I not put Sam Roush or, Justin Joly? I think I already have Joly over him, but you get the point.
Easily do. Yeah. There are a couple other tight ends in this class too that like are kind of worth mentioning. The main one is Jack Indries from Texas, but for one, I kind of forgot about him, to be honest, because his tape from Texas was so like lame. Like it was kind of like Max Klare, where like he was just completely phased out of the offense. Transfer from Cal. He actually used to play with Mendoza at Cal, and he was pretty solid, but like he's also not really much of a blocker. So I kind of just forgot he existed. I actually like him. Probably an early day 3 guy for me. He's pretty cool. Joe Royer, Cincinnati guy. I've watched him for 2 years. He's cool. He's smooth, but like he actually hates blocking. He won't do it. So I was kind of already out on him. Daquan Wright from Ole Miss. He's actually a sleeper of mine. Not much of a blocker either, but he's kind of one of those like smooth movers with a nice catch radius. He's got some mitts on him. I wish I would have put him in the watch list because I really enjoyed him. Marlon Klein from Michigan, a guy I have not really watched more of a couple plays on, but I've heard really good things. And then Riley Nowakowski from Indiana, the guy that's like listed at 6 foot tall. Definitely more of a fullback unless he plays that like Connor Hayward role in the NFL. But yeah, I see him being a good fullback, honestly. A pretty good receiver, good after the catch, good blocker. I think Riley Nowakowski is the next Alec Ingold.
I like that. I'm going to clip that. That's a clip farm. I'm clip farming.
Keep it. Just keep it in the depths when he catches his first flat for a touchdown. Riley Nowakowski is the next Alec Ingold.
I'm going to find whatever clip of Alec Ingold I can to make it look like a mirror image.
Him hurdling somebody. If Nowakowski ever hurdles somebody like Alec Ingold can, you know what to do.
Well, yeah, I think the tight end class, I realized quickly there were a lot of guys that we probably didn't even get to that probably deserve to be talked about, and that different from like the running backs, which was also an underwhelming class, but there a lot more research I think is needed for this group, and I think even by the time the draft comes around, my list of top 5, top 10, once I get even deeper, will look even more different than it does now. So that's the beauty of the tight ends. It's just a very big mess of weeds.
Yes, they're all so different. They basically play different positions. Like watch Eli Stowers, and then I immediately watched Oscar Delp after that. And I was like, these are not playing the same sport.
No, they're
completely different agendas on both of their snaps.
Tanner Koziol is playing basketball.
He should be.
Yes.
Him and Trigg should start a basketball team.
Yes, and I think Stowers should join. Why not?
Yeah, he can play point. Just have Koziol and Trigg down below. Like maybe Raridon can play. I don't know. He's tall, but yeah, these guys can. Anybody but Riley Nowakowski can play on that basketball team.
That's not nice.
Way too small. He's way too short.
Well, that will wrap up our episode of Tight Ends. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share. If you guys want to discuss more about prospects with us, down in the description below. But yeah, I think that was my outro, right? We'll see you in episode 96.